Hello everyone, this is the Tone Deaf Monk. Today I am doing a redo video of the Audiosense AQ4. I was harsh on my first one and probably not as professional as I should have been. And as I took off the ear tips, I realized that there was a 500 level filter stuck inside of the Osla ear tips, and so I thought maybe that was unfair in my sound impression. So this is redo number 2. To be fair, I'm doing this one differently than I did it the first time. I didn't give it quite the fair shake. And so this time I did more cable rolling, tip rolling, source rolling to try and bring out the best I think it could. I ended up using pure silver cable, MMCX. I used the Dunu SNS tips. I used my most resolving, cleanest DAC that I know, the E1DA SG3. It's a 9038 ESS DAC. I brought out all the big guns. I even put a high-res sticker on them to... Yep. So here's my sound impressions to get right into it. I'm not going to tell you what's in the box or the shell shape or Happy Jazz. You can look at other reviews. I'm going to just simply go over my sound impressions, and this time all of my playlist, which I'll post from Tidal, and just some of my notes before I give you my overall sound impressions. So I used a bunch of tracks from male vocals, female vocals, orchestra, jazz, weird stuff, classic rock, 80s rock, EDM, like Crystal Method and Yellow, guitar stuff, Joe Satriani, classic jazz, modern jazz, classic jazz from Louis Armstrong, Ella Fitzgerald, Go-Go Penguins for new jazz, Angel by Massive Attack to see what I can do for bass. This is supposed to be a bass head. Hard stuff like Annie Lennox, Holly McNarlin for vocals, Sting for male vocals, Tom Cochran, Red Rider. I do a bunch of live recordings to get a sense of space. Hani Arani, the very unique pianists, you should be able to hear some unique stuff going on. Let me just read some of these comments to be super critical and fair. First track, Beautiful Blue, Holly McNarland. My notes are Holly's voice should be crisp, clear vocals and a right edge to her vocals. My first notes are recessed vocals. Second track, Give Me One Reason, Tracy Chapman. I love her voice. I love this recording. The strums on the guitar, it just has unnatural plucks of the guitar. The vocals were good. Paradox by MEB. Should be great female vocal listenings. Accurate piano at 11 seconds. Bass hits at 28 seconds and more really cool vocals at 2 minutes. And this is what my notes are. I had at 11 seconds, it sounds like the woofers are reaching past their maximum extension, and you can hear the huffing. It's like a subwoofer box or a speaker box that is tuned incorrectly, where it is not where the drivers are overextending, and you can hear it. In order to get the bass out, that's exactly what it sounded like. Somebody tuned the cavity with the wrong volume inside the shell, and the dynamic driver is overextending. Rock Me by Great White, little 80s hit for you. You know, the double kick drums at the beginning should hit. And there should be some hi-hats. This is the 80s, like boom, 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 tss, tss, tss. My notes. No hi-hats, no bass attacks, strums are bloated, needs more sub-extension and less mid-bass. That is going to pretty much sum up the entire review. Wheat Kings, Tragically Hip, Sense of Stage, male vocals. I just wrote too thick. Chemical Mentalist, Crystal Method, bass hits without attack. It's Time, Labyrinth, Sia, Bloat. Actually, this was probably one of the worst replays I've ever heard. Missing the vocal tonality, the imaging, the piano drowns out all the vocals. It's okay to have a bass head IEM. It's okay to have a bass head car. It's okay to have a bass head home stereo, wherever you are. But you gotta have the boom and the sizzle. It can't just be all bass and bloat. Speaking of bloat, all my friends are here. Joe Satriani, next thing. Bloat, no attack, no snaps, very little image separation, big frown face. In this song, he plays an A major riffs, and it's descending. They all sound exactly like the same note. That's not a good thing. There's just too much mid bass, not enough sub bass, and it just bleeds into everything else that causes this thing. Go-Go Penguins, modern jazz. One note, it says Boomy. Angel, Massive Attack, muddy one note. It should have a droning sound in this track. If you listen to it, check out Angel by Massive Attack. This is just muddy and monotone bass. Bring Me Some Water by Melissa Etheridge. Just wrong vocals. Her voice is just too deep, and it's boomy that it's distracting. Winter Shade of Pale, Annie Lennox. At the beginning, there is no sparkle. Here in this song, you should hear left to right separation. None. I mean, there is, but honestly, not like any other I own. So Cold, Holly McNarlin. Again, vocals. There should be a good left and right up front, good track for testing, depth of stage and vocals. Drops at the beginning, don't. There's no sub-extension. It's all being masked. Shape of My Heart, Sting. No plucks or extension. Sting is boomy. Wishing You Would Stay, The Tea Party with Holly McNarland. This one did okay, I said. 53 seconds in, though. Holly is so masked. You can't... So there is the male vocals at the beginning, and then at 53 seconds, Holly comes on, and she sounds like she's singing backstage when she should be singing right in as a duo. It's really not good. Hani Arani, this is where she really does the piano with the microphones inside of the piano and on the keys. And this is so boomy piano that you can't hear those secondary effects that makes this track so special. Once you hear it, it's called Eden by Hani Arani. And you will listen to it and you understand. Bass kicks in at 140 and goes low. It doesn't on this AQ4 Audiosense. It is just drony, boomy bass. It should have sub bass. And I'll throw up the graph later or now, and you can see it. This IEM does. Anybody who tells me they can give you they can tell the sound impression from a graph, you're lying. I challenge you to look at the graph of an Audiosense AQ4 and tell me how it should sound and actually how it really sounds. It is very deceiving. It should have lots of highs. It doesn't. It should have extension. It doesn't. It should have sub bass. It doesn't. It just has bass and bloat. Summertime, Louis Armstrong, the trumpet at the beginning is just so wrong. And the vocals, male and female, both the Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald are not right. Blue Train, Poncho Sanchez, bells at the beginning, the cowbells, you just can't hear it. They're all being masked. It's boomy. You should hit this track, Blue Train from Poncho Sanchez, on a lot of IMs. You can hear him hitting the drum skin. That's how it should be that you can hear back. So, Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, My Girl, playing some pop music, placement of stage, instrument separation, dynamics. There's a xylophone right at the beginning. It is just drowned out from boomy bass. Iconic Alanis Morissette, wow. So at the beginning, she's deep. Then she moves over to a different mic position, and there's just too much energy in the female vocals to make it sound tonally correct. At 42 seconds, it switches over to a slightly different vocal mic, and it was just not a great replay. Metallica. Live with San Francisco Orchestra, S&M 2, The Day That Never Comes. This should be a massive venue. You should hear Lars. You should hear the orchestra all around him. And it just sounds like venue sounds like a small space with Lars singing with a sock over the mic. Okay. Tricycle by Flim and the BBs. Try this song. Turn it up. The hit at 28 seconds should hit you like a ton of bricks falling on your head. The slam should be dynamics. When I demoed this song thousands of times, honestly, I know what it sounds like. And there's an attack to it and an energy and an excitement that the AQ4 just completely misses the mark on. New stuff. How about Team by Lord? Wicked stage, female vocals, just an awesome track. This actually has no stereo effects, like no left and right, no excitement. It's all mid-bass and boomy. Oliver Manzuki, Wake Up. At the beginning, you hear these, cool snaps and instrumentals. You really can't hear it. Male vocals his vocals are just not right. They're just too deep. Brothers in Arms, Dire Straits, right at the beginning with the thunder and iconic Mark Knopfler's vocals and bass hits at 212. So there's no thunder. It doesn't go low. It's wrong. It's drowned out. It's bloaty vocals and has a weird mid-bass resonances. Keith Don't Go, so very live version of Niles Lofgren. Acoustic guitar. I mean, it should sound crisp and clear and listen to it. And it's all wrong. Somebody I used to know, I don't know her name, Goat and Kimba? Not my fault you guys have those names. I'm sorry. Should be huge stage. Vocals, listen for excellent separation in stage. Vocals at 138 and female at 238. Micro dynamics. None. Flight of the Cosmic Hippo. I'm getting emotional, and I should just not. So, Flight of the Cosmic Hippo by Bella Fleck and the Fleckstones. This is an excellent recording. Banjo should hit hard and low. Nice mic with piano weight. It's just bloated. There's no attack. It's droning bass. My notes where the bass goes ba 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 ba. That's it. Tragically Hip. New Orleans is sinking. Listening to Gord's voice with enough mid bass in his voice will sound thin on this song. Okay, I put okay on this one, no problem with mid bass. Electrified by Yellow. Electrified 2 by Yellow. How well does this track just trip you out, pull you into the stage and presentation? Think Ferris Bueller's Day Off on LSD. There is no stage. There is no highs. There is no stage. I wrote again. Fever by Malia, Boris Blank. Kind of a techno version of a classic with great female vocals and a nice bass line throughout. It just has so much mid-bass over sub-bass, and it masks everything. Poem of Chinese Drum by Hawkman Kim. Now, if this is a bass IM, it should do bass. There is no attack to these drums. Drums are just all wrong and Boomy. And he has like many different drums, and none of them are correct. Song of the Stars. If you get a chance to watch my first video, I was not nearly as harsh as this. And the whole reason I'm redoing this thing, I'll go back over that. Anyway, Poem of Chinese Drum, almost done. Moving on. Dead Can Dance. It's supposed to go low. And it's just one note. It's just horrible. Don't Make Me Wait, Last Strong. At beginning is just like a wave. Okay, so that's my sound impressions. Overall, I'll throw up the graph now, actually, and I'll show you that. This, my first video, and I redid this because I had that little filter on these ear tips that I was using, and they were stuck in it, and I didn't notice until I pulled it off. So that's why I redid this whole thing to give it more of a fair shake. And then this time I did all those tracks, my pull playlist again, just to give it the best. This Audiosense AQ4 is... my first one was called Bass and Bloat. This is just called Boom and Bloat. That's it. It's just so horribly tuned. I can't see anybody enjoying this for its bass. The bass is so bloated, and it's not fast. It's not snappy. Mid-bass instruments don't sound correct. Drums don't sound correct. Guitars don't sound correct. Double kick drum doesn't sound correct. The driver in here that they're using for the bottom end is not a good driver. And it has... So this is a 1 10mm dynamic driver and 3 balanced armatures. And it's not... It may be the... It's just, yeah. So, bass is boomy, bloaty, and muddy. Mid bass is just, it doesn't have the right decay to give it note weights. And if it was done correctly, it would be done in a way that it would enhance male vocals. It would add some husk to female vocals, but not in a too terribly a way that would pull you away or distract you. So, and maybe that's what's masking the upper mid bass and all of the highs. This is a very poorly tuned IM, in my opinion. I really can't see a bass head enjoying this. I can't see, certainly not for vocals. There's no highs for treble heads. Like, you will hate this. And you could call this a darker IM. You could call it a warmer IM, but it is probably one of the least resolving IMs I've ever heard. When you put so much mid bass into the tuning, and you don't put enough emphasis on the other end, where you could get some treble extension and all of that, 800 hertz and up, where it starts to add to your vocal, the correct tone for instruments, the correct tone for vocals, the correct for adding stage, adding presence, adding air, adding depth. it's missing all of that, and it's just boomy, bloaty bass, and it's absolutely bizarre. And I honestly gave it a fair shake. I tried it with all these different genres and all these different sources and cables, and it's the same. My first video was because there's a filter in here, but that filter was I typically use to cut out sibilances in 5K and up, and where this doesn't have 5K and up. It really didn't affect my overall impressions. In fact, I gave it the best I could. I do these videos to help you determine whether you should spend the $230 US, or if it went on sale and I bought it and I had $98 that I spent, and get buyer's remorse because it's not what I thought it was going to be. The graph lied. It doesn't have any of that stuff. It's not a good bass head IM. I'm sorry. If you think so, then put a note in the comments to what you listen to that makes you enjoy this. When I posted the first video, there was enough comments and they're like, yeah, I have it. It's like that, right? So, but if you love it, you love it. That's cool. I'm happy for you. But if you were thinking about picking this up and looking at a graph and thinking, oh man, it's got really nice, it's got a lot of sub bass, glides into the mid bass, and it's got some highs, got some extension, the graph lies. It does not have any of that, and that's the way I described it with those songs is the way I heard it. Again, these are my subjective impressions with my ears, and to be fair, right now I am listening to a set of 64 audio U12Ts. So yes, these are $2,000 US. I bought these for $100 US. Here, and then listen to this, you know what you're missing. So, that's my impressions based on what it should sound like, what it does sound like. So, I don't imagine a whole bunch of people have a $2,000 IM, and I only have this because of a friend of mine that we in our group. So thank you to Kevin for loaning these to me. What a special pair. I'm going to do my own video of these things. Anyway, so bass and bloat, no sound stage whatsoever. No left and right image separation. No sense of space. Vocals are not good for male, not good for female. There's no twinkly sparklies to add in a sense of dynamics or micro dynamics, macro dynamics. None of that you get with the Audiosense AQ4. These are my honest impressions with my ears. So thank you very much for watching once again. Thank you. Tone Deaf Monk out. That's what Kilo thought of the Audiosense AQ4. It's a snoozer.